Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bitcoin in Asia. I'm John Riggins, and our guest this week is Tyler Yue, co-founder and COO at Bixin. Tyler is a well-known builder and thought leader in the Chinese Bitcoin community, and a bit of a polymath as well. Bixin is also one of the great success stories in terms of Bitcoin companies in China. They operate one of the most popular Bitcoin wallets in the China market, with additional popular features around that wallet function. We'll get into that, including how they built the company to have longevity through bear markets and product iterations. They also ran what was kind of the Chinese Bitcoin talk and employed some interesting funding methods in those early days of Bitcoin in China. We also get into the status of Austrian economics in China, the development of the Chinese rap scene, which Tyler is a well-known member of. Tyler is someone who I think should be more well-known in the West. He has a lot to add to kind of the global dialogue, and so I hope you enjoy.
The good thing is I don't have to do a lot of, hands-on work, so we can communicate on WeChat or telephone.
How big is the whole company now?
About 100 people.
Solid. Yeah. When you expand more, it's only Beijing. You have no plans to open a bigger office in Hangzhou?
No, just me in Hangzhou.
Cool.
We used to have a very big office in Hangzhou. Other colleagues, they come back to Beijing, and just me live here.
Cool.
So we shut down that office.
Is this a brand new mall? I haven't spent much time in Hangzhou, but this seems like a brand new building. Is this like a central business district?
I'm not very clear about this.
Yeah.
I think it's brand new.
Yeah. Do you ever use WeWorks in other parts of the city, or you always come to this one?
I have another desk in Shanghai.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool. You know Peter from
I
being
know
in Hangzhou at HaoBTC? Or how long have you known Peter?
I know Peter not very long. I think about 1 year. I know he used to work for Bixin.
I meant to catch up with those HaoBTC folks while I was here. But hey, thanks also for connecting me with the Canaan team. It's very helpful.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Actually, Hangzhou don't have a lot of BTC guys. Hangzhou is the place for Ethereum.
And Baitum, apparently.
Yeah. But mostly Ethereum.
Yeah.
Because I'm tokens here and Spark pools here.
Yeah, that's interesting that
ETH fans is here. Yeah.
And I'm token kind of being maybe the most popular Ethereum wallet in China. Yeah. And the Bixin wallet being maybe the most popular Bitcoin wallet. Would you say it is?
We can say the most popular off-chain wallet.
Yeah.
In China.
Cool.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting dynamic with them kind of coming up and focusing on tokens and things when they started.
Yes.
They also have the Bitcoin functionality too, I guess.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you know that team very well? I'm token.
Very familiar.
Cool.
We used to work in the. I talked about I talked about my previous office. Mm-hmm. It's in the same floor with I'm token.
Oh, okay, cool.
And we are in the same building with HaoBTC and Bixin.
Oh yeah. That's funny how that happens.
Yeah. So we are very, very familiar.
Cool. And I saw one other thing about Hangzhou when I was just looking at your Twitter, and I won't hold it against you, but you called it the Auburn of the East. And I'm an alum of the University of Alabama. And so
you nerd in Alabama?
Yeah, I went to University at Alabama. And so that's our biggest rival. So I won't hold it against you, but I know you appreciate the Mises Institute. And,
I've been there.
Oh, really?
I've been Auburn. One thing is very funny, When I was in Auburn for Mises University, their staff booked the wrong shelter for me.
Oh yeah, the wrong.
The airport for Auburn is in Atlanta, and there are 1 hour.
Yeah, it's a long way.
No, not Norway. The time zone is different.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So when I was on the shuttle, my airplane flies.
Oh man, that's horrible.
That's very horrible. And I rebook my
Did they cover
flight.
The cost?
They covered, but you know, my original plan was back to China, so I didn't have a lot of dollar with me. I just got like 20 bucks.
You had to stay a whole day, probably a whole other night.
Not whole day. I booked the nearest flight. It's 3 days later.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
I'm stuck in you know, in ATL for 3 days.
Oh my goodness.
With no money.
Oh my goodness. Did you have anyone to help?
I booked a motel in the downtown using Booking. You know? And I used my credit card.
Yeah.
And my bank in China. So somebody used this card in US and they froze my account. And then I went to I'm really hungry and I went to Wingstop and I said I want to buy this. And then I they declined. And
no. You're in there. You got the smell of fresh cooked wings.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna.
And don't have any money. and my computer is dead. And so I bought a converter. You know. So that cost me $30. And I only have $7 in my pocket.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So I went to the supermarket and I bought chips and fish.
Yeah.
And ate that thing for 1 day. And the next day my friend picked me up and gave me some dollar and
I feel so helpless. That's why we need Bitcoin, right?
That's why we need Bitcoin.
Yeah, I have been in that situation a couple of times out here. I won't go into it online, but that's a funny story about time zones in the U.S. and being stuck without money. 3 days for a flight to China.
Yeah, 3 days. And I back to China and I write a letter complain about this to Mises Institute and they say, it's our fault. We will cover your loss. And I say, send me Bitcoin.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great.
They send me Bitcoin.
What year was this?
2015.
15. Okay.
Yeah.
Was when did Jeffrey Tucker stop working there?
Jeffrey. Oh, you know Jeffrey Tucker? Yeah. I think it's when I was in Madrid. Jeffrey already
gone.
He's gone.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, I had a panel with Jeffrey in Korea at Economy last year.
Yeah, okay.
Cool. All right. Well, let's kick it off.
Okay.
Here in Hangzhou.
Yeah.
In a nice brand new WeWork.
Yeah.
With Tyler. Tyler, first, just kind of the old cliche, but can you take us into how you found Bitcoin in the first place?
Okay, I told this story many times, and I think it's good to speak again. It was 2012, and I have been in the Austrian libertarian movement for 3 years at that time, and I know many people. I got many friends in the Chinese libertarian circle, and one friend called Miko. Miko is also a friend of the legendary Fred Cat. Then one day Miko told me he got a lot of money from Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Then I did a little research on Bitcoin when I was home, and immediately I realized that it could be something very huge. It may change the world in some days. Yeah, and so I went to Bitcoin China and bought my first Bitcoins.
BTC China.
Yeah, BTC China.
Yeah.
Yeah. BTC
Cool.
China, and that's how I find Bitcoin.
That's great. That's great. And want to so it's kind of the libertarian circles that got you into it in the first place. So I want to get to that in more depth a little bit later, because that's part of your identity in China is kind of your economics background of being a scholar.
Yes.
So it's all super interesting. But maybe first, can you give us kind of a brief overview of your kind of early career in China and how you thought about your work and your goals pre-Bitcoin?
Okay, pre-Bitcoin.
Yeah.
In 2011, I got my first master degree. It's Master of Food Science.
Food science.
Food science.
It's not something you hear a lot from Bitcoiners. I was in food science previously.
Yeah, it's food science. Then I got a job from the famous food giant Mars Wrigley, the chewing gum.
Mars.
So
cool.
I went to producing chewing gum.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I went to that company as a management trainee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so my original career path was to start as a trainee and then become a supervisor, a manager, director, step by step. I don't know if I can become a vice president or even higher in such a large multinational company, but just as I was about to end my training period and be promoted to supervisor, I resigned and I went to Madrid to study Austrian economics.
Okay, big change.
Yeah, big change, very, very, very big. A brand new knife.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So did you get? You just realized that you didn't want to be working in this large company?
Yeah. The decision was made by the end of 2013.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the Bitcoin skyrocketed to above $1,100 US.
Yep.
Which made me a millionaire for the first time in my life.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. So I start to feel that my previous working, the work I was doing was meaningless.
Okay.
The daily job is too ordinary, and a great revolution is here to come, and I think I should join it. I should seize the opportunity.
Seize the moment.
That's
exciting.
And I want to learn more about economics to better understand the operation of Bitcoin, the idea of Bitcoin. So I quit my job at Mars Wrigley and went to Spain.
Interesting. So yeah, take us into that back to that decision to leave for Spain. So it was kind of your you had already found Bitcoin and. You decided to go to Spain to study economics, Austrian economics, in particular. Take us back to that decision and that time in Spain. Kind of give us a sense of how formative that was for the way you thought about Bitcoin, kind of moving forward.
So Austrian economics taught me what sound money should like, and what will happen if the government controlled the production of money, and we're using unsound money.
Yeah.
So that's what I learned from Austrian economics.
Yeah. And so you were doing a graduate program in Spain.
Postgraduate.
Postgraduate.
Yeah. Master degree. Yeah.
Right. So how long were you there?
For 1 year.
Okay, cool. So you got a master's in Austrian economics.
Yeah.
Cool. How many places in the world can you actually get a master's in Austrian economics?
Spain is the best place, I think.
Cool.
Madrid, and in UFM, You can get. You know UFM. It's Guatemala.
Guatemala. I think that's right.
Yeah.
Is that where Nick Szabo has his honorary doctorate? It might be.
Yeah. Actually, UFM is a very good university, and with a very long Austrian tradition. Yeah. And you know, professors like Peter Boke and Peter Klein. They all went. They all visited UFM.
Yeah. Cool. So you spend a year there, and I guess that kind of brings your worldview and kind of how you were thinking about Bitcoin kind of together more fully.
Yeah.
And then you post graduating, you have the master's.
Yeah.
I guess take us back to the decision to return to China and jump into Bitcoin commercially. What was that like? When I was in Madrid, I think I realized that I'm far from a very good scholar, and it's not the right time for me to continue a PhD program. So I go back to China, and I returned to China, and I want, and actually the founder of HaoBTC and the founder of Bixin, Wu Gang, invited me to his company. Okay.
Yeah. And actually, I don't have much choice if I want to jump into the industry. So there we got 3 major exchanges in Beijing, and such as OKCoin, HaoBi, and BTC Trade, and one exchange in Shanghai, BTC China, and,
where you bought your first Bitcoin.
Yeah. And we got 2 major mining machine factories, Bitmain and Canaan. Yeah.
And Hangzhou, where we are.
No. At that time, Canaan is in Beijing.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, and then the lack of money, and Mr. Sun Qifeng and Kong Jianping, they
had an opportunity to raise
money. They had an opportunity.
Very interesting.
So after that, Canaan moved to Hangzhou.
Should be talking with Hangzhou for this podcast at some point in the near future.
Yeah. And
so that's interesting. So Beijing is kind of the center at that point.
Yeah. And in Beijing, we got 2 wallets. The on-chain one is Bixin wallet.
What was that?
Bixin. Bixin. Yeah. And now it's called BitPi.
Yeah, BitPi.
Yeah. And the off-chain wallet is HaoBTC. Now it's known as Bixin. So just I don't have much choice, and and actually.
And so you knew the founders of HaoBTC already?
Actually, we have a very long story. Before I went to Spain, I already worked part-time for its predecessor.
Yeah.
It's called OpenBlock. OpenBlock is an on-chain wallet, on-chain Bitcoin wallet, sort of like the Chinese version of Bitcoin. Blockchain.info. Yeah. So I met Mr. Wu Gang in a QQ group for early Bitcoiners in China, and so I started to work him.
Cool.
And when I was in Spain, we co-founded a forum called Bixin.com. Yeah. Bixin is called the Chinese version of Bitcoin Talk.
Yeah.
By those early Bitcoiners in China.
And you're considered a co-founder of Bixin today. And I guess the first cooperation that you had in terms of founding something was this community platform for communicating, talking about Bitcoin. Then, yeah, that's interesting. Where did the communication move I guess for listeners in the West thinking about being on Bitcoin Talk, that resonates, and so they can make the comparison. I guess Bitcoin Talk started to kind of lose its kind of dominance in terms of where the conversation was, 14 or so. Yeah. Where did this platform kind of stop becoming the main place for people to talk about Bitcoin in China? I guess how long was it kind of the...
in 2014, 15, and 16. But in 2016, the civil war come.
Yep.
People are discussing
it becomes more contentious. The civil war.
Yeah. So it become very tension. So we stopped operation that fall.
Yeah. Okay, so take us back, I guess, to around the founding time. Can you describe, walk us through a little bit the early days of HaoBTC, as it was called then, as a business, and what you were focused on personally when you joined?
So I mentioned the open block before. Yeah. But the market's response to open block was so just because very few people know Bitcoin at that time, and even fewer know how to use a wallet like that. So we switched our vision to make a secure and easy to use off-chain wallet for ordinary people, to use Bitcoin. And
custodial.
Custodial. And we need money. So here is the one for we need money. So we mine Bitcoin to survive.
Yeah.
And we borrowed those Bitcoin from our user with considerably high interest. And then we use those Bitcoin we borrowed to buy machines and to build mining farms.
Yeah. So I remember reading about that kind of, I guess at the time, and it was something pretty novel. Yeah. And y'all were lumped in a little bit with kind of like cloud mining providers, but it's really not what you were offering at all. You were borrowing money from them, paying interest rates, and then using it to build your own mining kind of operations.
The interest is very high. It's not cloud mining. Cloud mining, you may suffer loss. Yeah, but it's borrow.
Yeah, so that was an interesting way to grow the business without raising outside funding. Pretty novel.
But it's only useful when at the early stage. When Bitcoin itself have a very high inflation rate.
Yeah, and so I guess at that point you're thinking about that decision, and are you, leveraging up on the idea of Bitcoin going up, or is it pretty clear in your minds that it's going up in the short term?
It's very clear that the Bitcoin will go up.
Yeah, that's an interesting, not without risk, but it's an interesting move for a company.
It's very bold. Actually, it's very bold. But at that time, you can mine Bitcoin easily.
Yeah. So
this method only work at that stage.
Yeah.
And as the Bitcoin, having we stop that. We stop doing that.
Certainly. There's so many other things I want to ask about that, and just for the sake of time in this first interview, I won't dig into everything, but I think that's a super interesting time. Just so many interesting things there.
Okay, and myself, because the company is at its early days, I do almost everything except coding.
Okay, yeah.
I do operation and marketing, branding, human resources, customer service, and so on.
Yeah.
And if there is one thing I focused on at that time, it's convincing the community to consider using an off-chain wallet. Because people don't control their private key in off-chain wallet. That was politically incorrect.
Yeah, well, it's
at that time.
Maybe still today even. It's somewhat against the ethos of Bitcoin.
But finally, the result was quite good. We used multi-sig and physical isolation and hardware secure module and other techniques.
And it's still
to keep the private key, which is almost the same as Bucket. The almost the same as a Technics solution,
backed or Coinbase custody,
backed used today. Yeah. So no user suffered any loss in the 5 years.
That's great.
That's
knock on wood here.
Yeah,
but
but it's still politically incorrect.
Yeah. Well, and it's still not your keys, not your coins is true.
Yeah.
But it's that trade-off of how you store a percentage of your Bitcoins, and you have services on top of the wallet that may be valuable and worth someone custodying them for the services that are offered. So that's an ongoing debate in the community, obviously. There are trade-offs there. Okay. So you're kind of doing everything. You're a startup. You've got to really grind early on. I think one thing that's interesting about HaoBTC and Bixin now is how the company has used the wallet as a platform, kind of as we just said, to launch these sorts of different features and products for users. Can you talk a little bit about how you think about the wallet and kind of its place in the Bitcoin infrastructure stack? It's somewhat different than what other companies have thought about the wallet, I guess.
I guess in the ICO bubble or in the alt season, the things you need most is exchanges. But once we return, we back to normal. Most people's daily needs are just store Bitcoins, send and receive Bitcoins, exchange Bitcoin with USDT, and exchange Bitcoin with local currencies, and mortgage Bitcoins to lend USDT. That's all you need, and all of this you can do on your wallet, on your wallet, in your wallet in Bixin. And so I think this is the place of wallet in the Bitcoin infrastructure is it's at the very center.
I agree. Yeah. I think it's something that's probably kind of underrated. Is how central it is. And you kind of went through some of the services that you're offering there, which is good. All right. I guess. You mentioned the mining that you were doing early. So mining was a part of the business, something that kind of kept you all afloat, kept you growing. Can you describe how mining is integrated in the business today, if at all, or how it maybe has evolved as a part of Bixin's business?
We're still doing mining, but before the BCH fork, we used to think that hash rate is power, and hash rate is very important. And to make sure Bitcoin wins this war, we had a lot. We had a lot of hash rate in our hand. It's like 8% at that time. But
8% is obviously a good chunk.
And after the fork, we realized the users, the developers actually have the power, not miners. You can use UASF, not miners. So the percentage went down.
It became less of a focus.
Yeah.
That's something a lot of people learned from that process.
So we still mine, but not a very important business of now. And about mining, I just want to say, don't demonize Chinese miners. They're just hardworking people with very strong entrepreneurship, and they use their own money and resources to support Bitcoin. That's all. The fact that there are a lot of hash rate in China doesn't necessarily mean, hash rate is centralized. They are owned by different miners.
I mean, small businesses, really. They're small businesses, a lot of them. And it's a dirty business. It's not like this glamorous thing.
Yeah.
Which you had first-hand experience with when you were running your stuff.
Yeah.
So I second that, certainly. So you kind of have a little bit, but maybe quickly, again, just kind of an overview of the Bixin business lines and what it is.
Yeah.
With that wallet being at the center.
They mainly divided into two parts: the wallet itself and the finance part, which is building on the wallet. We have one of the world's largest,
custodial
wallets.
The largest in China, custodial wallet in China, one of the world's largest.
Yeah, and which is very secure and easy to use. And we also support SegWit and Lightning Network. It's a very excellent wallet. And on this base, we have, different finance services such as lending and OTC and other stuff. Just two parts.
Cool. And I guess we've seen kind of an expansion of companies that are offering those kind of financial services products, especially in China. People are moving fast on that. And you already have this user base of wallet users to access those, which is an interesting position to be in, again, with kind of the wallet as the center of the ecosystem. All right. So, and then y'all, I guess recently, congratulations. You had your 5-year anniversary just a couple of weeks ago up in Beijing.
Yes.
So congratulations on that. I guess, can you talk a little bit about, you mentioned earlier the kind of stress of raising money earlier and how you were borrowing money from users with high interest in these things. Can you talk a little bit more about kind of what it took to survive and now to thrive over the last 5 years of, Bitcoin being cyclical, bear markets, any especially trying times or events?
I think the tricky I think you should put Bitcoin as your at the core of your business. You should build your business around Bitcoin. That's what we do. In the 5 years, a lot of people come into this business and did a lot of tried a lot of things, but when the market is crazy and when the market is in a crazy bull market, it seems that you can do everything.
There's the temptation to expand and all sorts of things.
And everything can make money.
Yeah.
But when the market goes down and enter a miserable bear market, and you'll find that the company put Bitcoin as its core are more likely to survive.
It really is true.
After all, the true dominance of Bitcoin, is like about 90% over the whole, crypto world, crypto market.
So can you explain your how you get to that number? Because I think when people think about Bitcoin dominance as a metric, they think about the coin market cap figure and think about 60 whatever percent. So why are you saying 90%?
Because the calculation is there are some population there are some problems in the CMC dominance. If I have one Tyler coin, and I just buy one Tyler coin with $1,
right.
and there are 1 million Tyler coin, and its
nice
market cap is very huge.
Yeah.
But actually, nobody buys this.
Yeah.
So the calculation of CMC is problematic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's been written about and talked about elsewhere. We can pop some links in.
So my advice, if you want survive very long in this industry, you should put Bitcoin in the center.
No, I think that's great advice.
Yeah.
And that's something that at our company, we kind of moved Bitcoin Magazine back to a Bitcoin-only focus, and it's something that we've had to kind of reinstill in ourselves, is that, hey, this is the only thing that matters here.
Yeah.
So that's I think that's great advice. So after that comment, something else that I guess is in the news today out of China is DCEP, D-C-E-P.
Yeah, DCEP.
I guess you have any comments on that? As I guess we'll get to in a second, but as economics scholar and Bitcoiner.
Yeah, well, actually, I published a very influential article on Mises.org in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
It's called "Why Governments Want Central Bank Issued Digital Currency." In this article, I point out that the government wants CBDC because first, it can better imply their monetary policy, such as negative interest rate and so on. Second, it can can be used for better AML, KYC, and that's the government can control your asset better.
Yeah.
And third, it can beat Bitcoin. So that those ideas still applies to DCEP today.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously DCEP is still a form of fiat money, fiat currency, and despite DCEP and the Bitcoin look similar, but they are quite different from the perspective of liberty. Bitcoin is at one end, and the DCEP or CBDC at the other, at the other
Absolutely.
end. Yeah. So Bitcoin allow you, fully control your property, while DCEP, allows government to fully control your money. So and the government can use any reason, public safety, anti-terrorism, etc.
Popular one in the U.S.
Yeah. So to freeze your asset, and prevent transaction from happening.
Mm-hmm.
So a cashless society is bound to come. We don't use cash for years in China.
Mm-hmm.
And sooner or later, you have to make your own choice. It's Bitcoin or DCEP.
Yeah. So that's going to be a fascinating thing to watch play out.
Yeah.
Definitely agree with all of your points on kind of the image versus the actual implementation of something like that. And we'll link to your article on Mises in the notes. I want to get into that a little bit more, I guess, if we have time at the end. But I guess kind of from that worldview, you just mentioned that you have posted on Mises, which I guess part of your kind of fame or personality in China is also you're known for your adherence to Austrian economics.
Yeah.
Your translating of texts into Mandarin. I guess just open up that chapter of your story a little bit. So maybe kind of what are some of your favorite writers and works, and how do you kind of continue in that lifestyle today?
You mean my favorite writers? Yeah. I think it's Mrs. Mrs. of course, and and the second one should be my mentor, Jesus Huerta de Soto.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think Mrs. is very important to Austrian economics. Karl Menger, the founder of Austrian economics, didn't fully, described his economic theory because the principle is very short. The principle of economics is very, very short. But Mrs. he set out the whole framework for Austrian economics based on human action. So I think Mrs. is the one.
yeah. I think of on your Twitter feed, I think you have maybe a first edition of that work. Is that right? Yeah. So here you there, and as we chatted about this a little bit previously, but as a University of Alabama graduate, I've always been a little bit jealous of Auburn having the Mises Institute on its campus. You've been to Auburn and been there at the institute. You've never been to Alabama. We need to fix that. Get you to a football game for the Tide. So Mises is a. And again, you've translated a number of these texts into Mandarin yourself, into simplified Chinese. Can you describe the community of Austrian economists, economics in China a little bit?
I want to use the name of a Tupac album.
Okay.
The rose that grow from concrete. Because of the political environment in China, doing Austrian economics in China is very difficult. An American libertarian think tank can get millions of dollars, each year, like Atlas Foundation, like FEE, like Mises Institute. They all have millions of dollars budget for every year. But in China, you do all things for free by yourself. But we grew. We has grown, stubbornly. We have
like a flower from concrete.
Yeah, like flower from the concrete, like a rose from the concrete, and we have a group of outstanding scholars, professors or doctors who graduate from very nice universities, very famous universities, and most of the main works of Austrian economists are published in China. Yes.
Yeah. And I think you've called Hangzhou actually the Auburn of the East, which I also take issue with.
Yeah.
But,
because Zhejiang province is the most amazing province in China. They very poor market since maybe Song Dynasty.
Song Dynasty, how long ago was that?
Yeah.
How long ago was the Song Dynasty?
I think it's 1,000 years.
Yeah. So this has historically been a poor region for thousands of years.
Yeah. People here is very, people here very bold and with strong entrepreneurship. And
and now you have...
They love to do business with others.
Yeah, cool. Is this your hometown? Are you from Zhejiang province?
No, I'm from Chongqing.
Okay, Chongqing.
Yeah.
Cool. Another fast-growing city in its own right.
Yeah.
Cool. And that's kind of an interesting idea that I like your metaphor for a rose through concrete, especially how it relates to rap. How do you all gather and organize? Is it in WeChat groups? Is it like, you mentioned the large think tanks and, there are conferences and events and things in the U.S. How does the community here organize?
Online.
Yeah, online.
Mostly online.
Mm-hmm. Something that really wasn't possible until the last 20 years or so.
Yeah. Back in the days in 2012 and 2014, we arranged 2 meetings. But now mostly online, online discussing.
Yeah, and you've touched on this a little bit, but can you maybe kind of talk about again how formative your scholarship in Austrian economics has been to how you think about Bitcoin and the future of money?
Yeah, I think the good money, the sound money, you don't control its production. You don't control its inflation rate, and how do I say? And when you control it, there will be inflations. There will be business circles. All the bad stuff come after it.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, Bitcoin is quite sound because no one control it. And interestingly, Wu Jihan of Bitman, also mentioned the idea of the marketability of money in a speech couple months ago, and this is an idea Karl Menger used to explain the origin of money, but I don't think he really understands this idea.
Jihan.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So if he really understands it, he will never, fork Bitcoin Cash, because the marketability of Bitcoin Cash can never never as good as Bitcoins. Yeah. So later the market educated him.
He was certainly educated. Yeah. Any thoughts on him coming back at Bitmain? I think they had a nice little event in Chengdu the last couple of days.
Yeah.
He was never in kind of the Austrian economics circles.
No, never.
Also a translator, translating the Bitcoin white paper while you were translating a lot of Austrian economics books.
Yeah.
I think you also mentioned that you're working on a translation in simplified Chinese of the Bitcoin standard, 15s.
15s. I didn't translate it, but I helped the translator.
Okay, yeah.
A little bit,
Yeah. Well, it's that extra 5% that really makes it gets it across the line, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So we've kind of talked about your entrance into Bitcoin. It makes sense how you think about Bitcoin with your background and grounding in Austrian economics. I guess something that is a little bit out of left field for you in your kind of polymath ways is that you are essentially known as a successful rapper within the Chinese Bitcoin community. You've published some things. I won't try to toot your horn on it too much, but I guess rap. Tell us a little bit how you got into it and how you kind of became known for it here.
Yeah, I met rap first.
Okay.
Before the Austrian economics, before Bitcoin.
Uh-huh.
I met hip hop or rap music when I was a kid.
Okay.
Just a kid. At that, I was a student in high school, and MC Hot Dog's song, were quite popular at that time. MC Hot Dog.
Okay.
A legendary, Chinese, Taiwan rapper.
Okay, legendary Taiwan rapper. So people in the West might not know him, but we'll link to some of his stuff.
Yeah. And then I start to listen to Eminem, Jay-Z, Dr. Dre, Nas, Tupac, Biggie, and others.
Yeah.
But that's 10 years ago or something, and I just an audience, not a rapper.
So this is in kind of the mid 2000s or the aughts. In the US, just for like so in the US, people are listening to these things like they're buying CDs or they're buying iTunes songs or they're doing like torrent and LimeWire or whatever. How are you getting your rap music?
In 2017, and Guy won the won the champion of rap of China, and I start to write song myself. I was totally inspired by him because after many years, I think rap is there's nothing new to me in hip hop, but when I first listened to Guy, it's a type of C trap. I come from Chongqing, and in the rap circle in China, Chongqing is called Chongtelanda.
Okay, Chongtelanda.
Atlanta, Chongtelanda, because it's CTL. It's highly influenced by
interesting
by ATL's trap music.
Yeah.
TI. So Guy and other Chongqing rappers, they combined two things together using Chongqing tongue to rap. And I say that's very cool, and I start to write myself. And after some practicing in the after some practice, I start to write myself.
Just a couple of years. Yeah, the first time we met actually it was in Beijing. I think at a Bitmain event, and you were kind of showing playing some rap music, or I guess at a party. And I guess that's my first memory of you, is being introduced to some Chinese rap music. I'm actually from Memphis, Tennessee, which has a nice little rap history of its own.
Okay.
I don't know if you know any of the Memphis rappers.
Yeah.
3-6 Mafia or Project Pat.
I listen quite a lot.
Okay, cool. Yeah. CTL. I think that's a great.
Yeah, CTL.
Cool. Well, how does so you mentioned the rap competition in China in 2017. How does the rap scene in China compare to the rest of the world today?
People in China used to believe that you cannot rap in Chinese. Mm-hmm. But now I think it's quite good now. Especially after 2015, people, rappers in China has made a very great progress, and one of my favorite people, Huang Xu, just released an album yesterday, and if you listen to it, you can find that he has learned a lot of skills from Kendrick Lamar.
Okay.
Yeah, so now you have people like that with incredible flow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
getting better and better in Chinese.
Yeah, getting better and better.
Yeah, and your songs. I've heard some of your songs, and there's a mix of Chinese and English, and the hooks are it's good stuff. We'll link some of it.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So we're kind of coming up on time here for this first discussion, but definitely want to jump into some of these things in more detail later. But I guess to close out, can you give us a recommendation? You're based in Hangzhou. We usually get a recommendation from where the person is from. It can be anything, art, song, food, restaurant, anything Hangzhou related.
Yeah, I would like to recommend you to take a boat ride to CC.
CC
is a wetland park. It's called CC.
CC.
CC. Normally, the the West Lake in Hangzhou is.
She means west.
She means west, but Hangzhou is famous for its West Lake.
Very famous for West Lake.
Lake. But actually, I think Xixi is the most beautiful place.
I haven't heard that actually.
Yeah.
Is it okay? Well, I'll have to get some directions from you.
Yeah. It's a wetland park.
Interesting.
You can take a boat there. It's a combination of nature and humanity, I think.
Combination of nature and humanity.
Yeah.
That is well said.
I spend a lot of time there.
Cool. Yeah. When you've always got your mind on something serious, so it's nice to get out into the real world at some point.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's what I would recommend.
Perfect. Well, great. Thanks for the conversation. Thanks for giving us an introduction into your past and into Bixin. It was fun.
Yeah. Thank you, John.
All right, we'll talk again soon. A quick reminder, all of the content in this episode is for informational purposes only. You should not construe any such information or other material as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. Nothing contained in this presentation constitutes a solicitation, recommendation, endorsement, or offer by BTC Media, the Let's Talk Bitcoin podcast network, or any third-party service provider to buy or sell any securities or other financial instruments.